everyone, welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Tom, your host, and I'm really excited that you're here with us today. Whether you're listening on your morning walk, during your commute, or while studying English at home, thank you for joining.
And I'm Erin. Today, we have a powerful topic, one that can change not just the way you learn English, but the way you approach your entire life. We're talking about the winning mindset of the top 1%.
Yes, the people who achieve extraordinary results don't just work harder, they think differently. Their mindset, how they see challenges, opportunities, and even failures, plays a huge role in their success.
Exactly. And don't worry, we're going to break it down in simple, clear English so you can improve your language skills while learning something valuable for your personal growth.
So get comfortable, relax, and let's dive into what the world's top performers know that most people don't. So, Erin, before we jump into the serious stuff, let me ask you this. When you first heard the phrase winning mindset, what did you think it meant?
Honestly, I used to think it meant always being positive or always winning at everything. Like, no mistakes, no problems, just perfect.
Same. I used to imagine some superhuman person who never gets tired, never gets frustrated, and always has their life together.
But in reality, a winning mindset is not about being perfect. It's more about how you respond to challenges, right?
Exactly. And mindset basically means the way you think about things. Mind plus set. The set of thoughts you normally use.
And the crazy part is, most people don't even realize they can change their mindset. They think the way they think is permanent.
But it's not. That's why this topic is so important for English learners too. Because the moment you believe I can improve or I can learn this, everything changes.
Absolutely. And today we'll break down how the top 1% think differently so our listeners can start applying those ideas to their English learning and their daily life.
All right, let's get into the first big idea. What exactly is a winning mindset? All right, so let's start with the big question. What exactly is a winning mindset? Because people hear this phrase all the time, but it can sound a bit abstract.
True. A simple way to think about it is, a winning mindset is a way of thinking that helps you grow, improve, and move forward, even when things are difficult.
Yes, it's not about winning all the time. It's about thinking in a way that helps you keep going, keep learning, and keep improving. The top 1% don't avoid problems. They face them with confidence.
Let's also clear up a common misconception. Many people think a winning mindset means being positive 24/7, like everything is perfect. I love life so much. But that's not real. And nobody is like that.
Exactly. A winning mindset is actually more about resilience, the ability to bounce back after something goes wrong. If you fail, do you quit? Or do you try again with a better strategy?
And for our English learners, this is huge. Because learning a language always includes mistakes. A winning mindset means thinking, mistakes are part of learning. I can improve with practice.
Right. Think about babies learning to walk. They fall hundreds of times. But they don't say, walking is too hard, I'm done. They just get up again. That's literally the mindset of the top 1%.
So, in simple English, a winning mindset equals believing you can grow, plus taking action even when it's hard, plus learning from failure.
Perfect. And now that we've defined it, let's talk about the first major trait the top 1% share. Extreme ownership. All right, let's jump into the first major trait of the top 1%. Extreme ownership. Now this sounds intense, but it's actually pretty simple. It means taking full responsibility for your actions, your results, and even your mistakes.
Yes, and the key word here is extreme. It's not just regular responsibility, it's saying, if something didn't go the way I wanted, I'm going to look at what I can do better next time.
Exactly. The top 1% don't blame their environment, their parents, their teacher, or the weather. They ask, what can I control right now? What can I do differently?
For example, imagine someone says, "My English isn't improving because my teacher isn't good." A person with extreme ownership would instead say, "Okay, maybe the teacher isn't perfect, but I can still practice, study extra, watch videos, and improve on my own."
Yes, that shift is huge because when you blame others, you lose power. But when you take ownership, you gain power. You put yourself back in the driver's seat.
And I think another misconception is people believe taking ownership means blaming yourself. But no, it's not about guilt. It's about control. It's saying, I can influence my future.
Well said. There's a great phrase. You're not responsible for everything that happens to you, but you are responsible for how you respond. Influence my future.
I love that. And for English learners, this mindset is gold. Instead of saying, English is too hard, you can ask, how can I practice 5 minutes today? A small shift, but powerful.
Absolutely. And before we move on, let's highlight some vocabulary for our listeners. Ownership means taking control or responsibility. Accountability means accepting the results of your actions.
Perfect. And now let's go to the next big trait, long-term vision.
All right, moving on to the second trait of the top 1%. Long-term vision. This one is big. The most successful people don't just think about today or tomorrow. They think years ahead.
Exactly. They make decisions based on where they want to be in the future, not just what feels good right now. And honestly, that's one of the hardest things for most people, because short-term comfort is so tempting.
Right. It's easy to watch another episode, scroll on your phone, or skip practice just today. But the top 1% ask themselves, will this help me in the long run?
And here's something interesting. Long-term thinkers aren't motivated every day. They just have a clear vision, a picture in their mind of the life they're working toward. That vision pulls them forward.
Let's make it simple for our English learners. Vision means a clear idea of your future. Strategy means a plan to reach that future.
Exactly. And you don't need a perfect 10-year plan. Even having a small long-term goal makes a huge difference. For example, if you say, in 1 year, I want to speak English confidently, you'll naturally start making better daily choices.
Yes, because when you have a long-term vision, daily habits start to make sense. You think, if I study 10 minutes today, that helps my future goal. Suddenly, small actions become meaningful.
And here's a fun question for listeners. If your future self, like the version of you 1 year from now, could talk to you today, what would they say? Probably something like, please start now. Even a small step helps.
I love that. The top 1% think like that. They work today with their future selves in mind.
And this leads perfectly into the next trait, which might be the most important one of all. Consistency over motivation.
All right, now we get into one of my favorite traits of the top 1%. Consistency over motivation. And Aaron, I feel like this is the part people struggle with the most.
Oh, absolutely. Most people wait for motivation. Those moments when they feel excited, inspired, full of energy. But the truth is, motivation is temporary.
Exactly. It's like a little spark. Nice when it happens, but it doesn't last long. The top 1% don't rely on motivation. They rely on habits, routines, and discipline.
Let me give a simple example. Imagine someone says, I'll study English when I feel motivated. Well, that means they'll study maybe once a week or once a month or maybe never.
Right. But if they say, I'll study English for 10 minutes every day, no matter what, that's consistency. Even small daily actions beat big moments of motivation.
And here's something interesting. Consistency actually creates motivation. When you see yourself improving, even a little, you start to feel more inspired. So action leads to motivation, not the other way around.
Yes, people think motivation comes first. But in reality, action, progress, motivation, it's like pushing a heavy door. The first push is hard, but once it starts moving, it gets easier.
For our English learners, this is huge. You don't need to study for 2 hours. Just a small habit. A podcast a day, a new word a day, a conversation a week. Consistency builds confidence.
Let's highlight a couple of key vocabulary words. Consistency means doing something regularly. Discipline means doing what you need to do even when you don't feel like it.
Perfect. And that leads us to the fourth trait of the top 1%, one that connects directly to learning, the learning mindset.
All right, now it's time for the fourth trait of the top 1%. And this one might be the most important for anyone learning English, the learning mindset.
Absolutely. A learning mindset means you believe you can always grow, always improve, and always learn something new. It's the opposite of thinking, I'm just not good at this.
Right. And here's the key. The top 1% don't expect to know everything. They stay curious. They ask questions. They look for feedback. They're not afraid to look bad while they're learning.
Yes. A lot of people avoid practicing English because they're scared of making mistakes. But a learning mindset says, mistakes are not failures. They're information.
Exactly. Every mistake is like a little message telling you what to work on next. If you say something wrong, great. That means you just discovered a new opportunity to improve.
And let's simplify one big term. A growth mindset means believing that your abilities can develop with effort. It's not fixed. It's flexible.
A quick example. Person A says, I'm bad at English. Person B says, I'm still learning English. One is closed, one is open.
And the top 1% choose the open mindset every time. They stay humble, stay curious, and stay willing to learn, even when they're already successful.
All right, now let's give our listeners some practical steps they can start using today. All right, now that we've covered the 4 big traits of the top 1%, let's make this practical. Let's give our listeners a few simple steps they can start using today, even if they're busy.
Yes. And don't worry, these tips are easy, realistic, and perfect for English learners. Let's start with tip number 1. Tip number 1. Set one small daily habit. Choose one thing you can do every day, not 10 things. Just one. Maybe it's listening to a 5-minute English podcast, reading a short article, or learning one new word.
Exactly. Small habits are powerful because they're easy to maintain. If you do something tiny every day, you'll see huge improvement over time. Tip number 2. Ask yourself one powerful question every morning. Ask yourself, what's one action today that helps my future self?
I love that question because it trains your long-term vision. Maybe the answer is, I'll practice speaking for 3 minutes, or I won't skip my study time. Tip number 3. Reframe your mistakes. This is big when you make a mistake in English. Don't say, ugh, I'm so bad at this. Instead, say, great, now I know what to improve.
Yes, that's the learning mindset. Every mistake becomes feedback instead of failure.
So remember, one small habit, one powerful question, and one healthy way to look at mistakes. Do these consistently, and you'll be thinking like the top 1% in no time.
And now, before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap of everything we've covered today. All right, before we close today's episode, let's do a quick recap of what we covered. We talked about the winning mindset of the top 1%, and we broke it down into 4 powerful traits.
Yes. First, we talked about extreme ownership, taking responsibility for your actions and focusing on what you can control.
Then we covered long-term vision, thinking about your future, not just what feels good right now.
Next was consistency over motivation, showing up every day, even when you don't feel inspired, because small daily habits create big results.
And finally, We discussed the learning mindset, believing you can grow, using mistakes as information, and staying curious.
We also shared 3 tips: build one small habit, ask yourself one powerful question each day, and reframe your mistakes in a positive way.
If you apply even one of these ideas, you'll see a difference in your English learning and your life.
Wow, that was an amazing discussion. I hope our listeners found these insights useful and feel inspired to start thinking like the top 1%.
Absolutely. Remember, a winning mindset isn't about being perfect. It's about taking ownership, thinking long term, staying consistent, and always learning. Start small, stay consistent, and you'll see big changes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe to the English Learning Podcast, leave a comment, and share this episode with friends who want to grow their mindset too.
And stay tuned for our next episode. We'll explore even more strategies to boost your English and personal growth. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep winning. Bye.